All right. While I'm letting the car warm up, let's talk about it. I saw Mercy. I do want to see when you were here at Silent Hill. They gave it a postcard. But these movies are kind of expensive and brothers money, tight when it's January from the holidays. But I did have I couldn't see Anaconda because I was busy. They had a $5 thing for that, which kind of sucks because I wanted to use that, but I couldn't. But I used my Tubo Tuesday thing, and what happens is they don't do the $5 movie as much anymore. Sometimes they do. They usually do the $5 off. And even with the $5 off, it was still almost $10. Without it, it would have been like almost $20 just to see a movie, the second showing of a movie. And I think it was at XD. So if I was going to see something and I didn't have that, especially for the timing, I would have seen the regular version. So it probably been a little cheaper, maybe like $6, but whatever. Anyway, it's either here or there. So, sorry. Yeah, my heat. You hear that? Yeah, it's probably just the heat thing. Anyway, this is about the movie Mercy. Now, I've seen some people say, "Oh, it's Dollar Store or Minority Report or Minority Report by Temu," which I'm tired of that by Temu thing because a lot of you folks buy off of Temu. I buy off of Temu, so let's stop the BS. Like Temu don't do stuff. I'm not saying everything perfect on Temu. But I ran into enough people that be like, really? So we're going to keep saying that like y'all don't use it? So, no, it's not. It has Minority Report feeling, but it's not about predictive crime. Which was interesting about this movie was, first off, I personally thought it was actually pretty good. It had a mystery. Was I able to kind of piece it together? A little bit of predictability. There was one that I kind of caught on later, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of gathering it. But it is a really cool, interesting, there we go, like that. Sometimes the level 2, I gotta turn it up so that way it stops that noise. That noise annoys me. So it's a cool murder mystery where the guy has to solve his own thing, but he has to prove his innocence, and it's really cool that the Mercy system is like this AI that always deals with the facts and things like that. But it also talks about how AI can still be something more, and it was very cool because the AI wasn't just straight up it was like, no, you need to look at this, you need to look at that, how about the facts, how about this? And it was really kind of interesting how they did that, because the AI, it wasn't just robotic in a sense that, yeah, it didn't have emotion and stuff, but it did question certain things, but it did look at it from a point of view of, well, you need to utilize the facts to lead up to this, which it was really cool, and how the movie kind of played out. How he was it shows that he wasn't a perfect man or anything like that, and there was just a lot of factors that come into the possibility of how this could be a dangerous technology, but also how it could be useful. I thought the mystery thing was cool. It's another one of those movies where you kind of go through everything, but it basically can get around because everyone has to upload to the cloud, so everything you do, it can access. But he was building crime and stuff. And the funny thing is, it probably would have been harder for him to figure it out if he didn't have access or to see what was going on, or if he actually did it. Because he's like, I didn't do it, but it is showing that he did. So it was a lot of layers to it, and some interesting play twist on the plot and stuff. And but it was a really cool version of a murder mystery. I call it, I do understand lately, searching. I wish I could have reviewed some of those movies. That movie was good. The one with Storm Reed, she's a great actress. Her thing when she was looking for her mom. The one with John Cho. These movies where they're doing it from one point of view and they kind of shoot these shots. And it's a little cheaper on the budget wise because they can kind of shoot it. But what was interesting was when he's in a court, it's almost like a 4D thing. It would bring up a screen and it would blow by him, but he would get a wind hit. So if he was if it would simulate something, to kind of be it's there. So let's say he was looking at something and a car would drive by, he would actually get hit with the wind because it's supposed to put your mind inside the thing, at least what I gathered. It was very interesting to see how people can be if you don't always think the camera's watching, and if you always think it's there, the type of person you could be, the type of stuff you could deal with, the type of things that was happening, the stuff like that, how things build, how they go. Like I said, did I have a little bit of predictability? If you know how to look, I'm usually pretty good with watching like mystery movies, and I can kind of gauge it. Sometimes it actually angers my friends, so I try to keep it to myself unless they like, yeah, I think it's this person. And I actually did. I was like, I think it's this and this to myself. I was like, I don't know yet, but I definitely know this, but I'm 90% sure it is, and I was right. But I still had a great time with it. Like, it was really cool to see like the technology. It felt like it was in the future, but it wasn't. It was basically the Mercy thing looks like it was a LA thing. At least they were trying it because LA was going through. So if you remember, like back in the 90s, LA was like really rough. You know, you had gangster rap, you had stuff. Even Predator 2 talks about like how wild LA was back in the day, because it kind of was. And it was a wild jungle. Well, it kind of got to that, to the point where it reminded me a little. You know what this reminded me of? Take Dredd and take Minority Report, put them together. Like, some of the tech was a little bit up to date, but not so far up to date that I can't see this happening in like 5 years. They had red zones in the city where they're like, hey, we can't go to this area because it's literally that dangerous. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's kind of like Dredd. You got to be careful where you go. And the Mercy program is judge, jury, executioner. And Chris Pratt, of course, breaks that. Love that dude. Rebecca Ferguson, I loved her before, but it's like, as I keep watching her and stuff, I keep loving her more and more. And she was awesome. Like, I loved how she was with the AI. And they played up the thing of a very pretty face, very comforting while I was talking, and a soft voice while I was talking. And even when he was getting emotional, she's like, you're trying to figure this out. You can't use your emotions to get in your way. You're trying to prove your case. You need to use logic. Like, it was really cool that AI would do that. And it wasn't like her being feeling. It was basically, she's right. She's like, listen, we're trying to figure this out. You need to focus. And it was really cool how she would like bring him back, and how he would like, okay, and he had to do this. So if you want to see an interesting kind of mystery thing with some really cool tech that doesn't feel too far-fetched, how people work and how like you can see the networks and how they can access all this stuff. And then it's also kind of scary because it's like, okay, so you can access everything without like warrants or nothing. Just, hi, I'm Mercy, but I'm the judge, you need to talk to me now. And everyone complied. So it was like, wow, we could see that happening in this day and age. That could happen. And it was also very cool, like how they access certain stuff. They would talk, how they did things, how you would see these just interest stuff, and how he had to like figure it out. And he had to, just like the trailer said, he had to get himself to a certain point to be without reasonable doubt. And, or at least to get to it where they would question it, or they would say, okay, this is a level of reasonable doubt, which I thought it was fair how high they kept it to. Like, if you hit this certain threshold, we would say it's reasonable doubt. I was like, actually, that's kind of fair. I think the movie itself was just really well paced. It's 90 minutes. It's funny, he has 90 minutes and you get 90 minutes. And I came in right at the last like 2 trailers or something because the line was really long and I was trying to deal with something. I was like, all right, you know, the trailers, I see a lot of trailers online, so it wasn't like a big deal. But I got to see the new He-Man trailer. Not the one that they released the teaser, but there's a new movie teaser one. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I think the movie was very well layered. I think it had a good amount of tension. I personally liked how things were kind of working its way out, how the Mercy thing does it. Is it infallible by using all the facts and only the facts and stuff like that? And a lot of questions on how powerful should AI be? Should we use that instead of people? Because it is judge, jury, and executioner. And it was extreme crime fighting because these crimes were starting to get kind of extreme. Like, they literally had red zones. Like, they would show you these cool maps and they would come up and it would say, oh, that's a red zone. Bop, 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 bop. Like, it was so bad. The police chick, she's on this like drone cycle thing, which was really cool. No spoiler. I mean, you know, it's just a tech in there, and they did show it in the trailer, one of the trailers. And she was like, I can't fly over there because if I land this, they're going to rob me. Like, is that bad? Like, even some of the cops like, all right, we have to be very careful going here, or we have to put SWAT there, because literally if I drive here and I do this and I park this, they're going to come at me. And I'm like, wow, it's gotten that bad. So that's where they come up with the Mercy and how it works and everything, and just what it is as a whole. And where they leave the film is very interesting too. Now, That's pretty much my take on it without going into detail, but it's a murder mystery using all available social medias, jobs, things, stuff like that. And he's a cop and he's trying to figure it out. And it's really cool. It's like a detective story, but he's on the line and it's trying to him to prove his innocence if he's innocent, because he talked about how he possibly, there's reasons why he's like, wait, something's up. So the way it pans out and plays out, I think it was, my rating on it is actually, I'm going to put it as a should buy. I'm definitely going to have this in there. I actually had a very good time with this. Now I've watched a couple of reviews before I made mine where they were like, it's like dollar store, the Minority Report. If you want to watch something that could be a possibility in the next 10 years and just a really interesting murder mystery, everyone in the theater I was with was like, yeah, this was pretty good. Like I said, is it like a blockbuster, blow it out the door? No. But was it actually a fun, interesting kind of movie with a little difference in how they played it and did stuff and how sometimes they could simulate stuff? I think it was pretty cool. The technology was good. The CG was good. A lot of it took place in a room, and then you would like see, so I was like, okay, so you were able to shoot little scenes to do that. I was like, actually, that's not a bad idea. So that's just me. But I say it's a should buy. Definitely, that's my rating. Geek Protagonist, you stay safe, you stay healthy, stay real, and I'll see ya.